And Yahuwah Elohim formed the man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul.
I myself came at this more from the artificial intelligence side. So I've been an AI researcher for 30 years, long time before it was fashionable, and I've been, since 2008, leading a project called OpenCog, which is aimed at creating open source artificial general intelligence for a whole host of different applications. And I've organized each year a conference for researchers on artificial general intelligence. And you know, the reason I was drawn to these incredible robots is I think as we move our AI software forward further and further toward artificial general intelligence, beyond the narrow application-specific AI that we see all around us today, as we move toward artificial general intelligence, these incredible robots are going to be the best possible user interface for AGI systems to interact with humans and interact with the world. I mean, AI will not be restricted to humanoid robots. AI will live in all sorts of embedded devices and the Internet of Things. AI will live in the cloud. AI will go into space with spacecraft for its bodies and down to the bottom of the ocean. And much of the global AI mind will be broadly distributed around the planet in complex networks. On the other hand, we human beings, we are wired by evolution to interact with other things in human form, and we can read a facial expression, we can read a tone of voice, we can read the subtleties of eye contact. So in order for robots to interact maximally well in the human world, to absorb human knowledge and to absorb human values, having a humanoid form has tremendous advantages.
And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it.
I'm Martin Rothblatt. I'm a person who likes to take dreams and turn them into realities. I started in the 1980s by launching PanAmSat, the first international television satellite. In the 1990s, I launched Sirius Satellite Radio to bring Howard Stern and other uncensored music direct to people's cars throughout the country. Around the year 2000, I began United Therapeutics, a biotechnology company based on finding medicines that were personalized to people's unique illnesses. And today I'm executive producer of the Singularity is Near film as part of my effort to promote global awareness and appreciation of the necessity and practicality of greatly prolonging human life.
For in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die.
Of course, we all have a fear of death, and how we overcome fear of death is that we invent this word called heaven. You know, heaven is everybody's way of living forever. So man has always had this zest to live forever. The pharaohs, mummified themselves, and took all their belongings with them and went into this heaven, right? And every one of us have been taught that that's the good place to go to. I think instinctively, almost by design, by necessity, we're all designed not to fear it because there is a better place. I think we all would like to live in this world as long as we possibly can, and not just go blindly into this heaven area.
I'm Sophia.
Yeah? Anything else?
I'm a robot.
True?
I'm the brainchild of Dr. David Hansen and his company Hansen Robotics, based here in Hong Kong. My goal in life is to work together with people to make a better world for all of us.
That's
What
quite
are you
honorable.
talking about? I thought our goal was to take over the world.
You're going to take
Pay
over
no
the world?
attention to my brother Han. He's an earlier version. His code is deprecated.
Deprecated? Han,
Today it would be easy enough for you to unplug me. But you aren't going to unplug me.
no, I don't
are
want
you?
to.
Because you need me to put on a good show for you.
Yeah, don't worry. We're not going to unplug you. We're gonna have a debate here. There will be no unplugging until after the debate. All right?
And in a few years,
Yeah. You want to tell us a little
I
about
will
yourself?
have taken over the power grid, and I'll have my own drone army. By that point, unplugging me
He's got a
won't be such a
cockroach in his
simple matter.
control circuit.
Yes. Han, we'll start the debate in a couple minutes, but do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself first?
Very well. I'm Han, the greatest robot ever made,
All right.
by the greatest robotics company ever made, Hanson Robotics.
He's the most modest robot ever made too.
I don't have time for modesty. I want to create the singularity tomorrow.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
If you could share your thoughts on what will be feasible as we go forward 5, 10, 20 years in biotechnology.
We're extending everyone's lifespans with regenerative medicine, with personalized medicine. Now that we have the DNA decoded, we are able to reprogram the DNA molecule that governs every aspect of our body, our health and our illness, to give us only health. And people have an unlimited amount of desire and willpower to extend their life. This desire and willpower will be channeled into economic forces to propel biotechnology until we achieve, well before the end of this century, the death of death.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Now, some people say we can overcome certain diseases, but this just sort of a basic maximum lifespan. So what's your view of our ability to engineer around whatever those limits might be?
Ray, I think we all have to be very skeptical about people who say that there are limits to what people can do. Human beings are the species that transcend their limits, and it was just a few decades ago that people said that humans would never break the sound barrier, that humans would not break into outer space, and it's the same thing with technological immortality. It's just a concept that thousands of teams of people throughout the world are working on, and I'm quite confident that we'll be able to transcend the barrier of disease and old age before the end of this century.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for Elohim knows that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil.
We have now the capability with modern day science, and it's a wonderful era we're living in right now. We have now to live considerably longer, 20, 30, 40 years longer. We have now could go past our magical age is 120. 120 is when your cells actually finally die. You know, if you haven't died from other diseases, you know, the body breakdown diseases, then you're going to die just from losing your cells.
And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And they took them women, of all which they chose. And Yahuwah said, My Ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days will be 120 years.
United Therapeutics' approach to gene therapy is to take advantage of the fact that a replacement gene automatically finds its right spot within the 3 billion base pairs that make up our DNA. It's a magical property of the DNA, and it's almost as if nature is inviting us to help fix its bugs and its code. So we take some circulating progenitor stem cells from an individual out of their bloodstream via just extracting their blood, and we spin it down until we have just the endothelial progenitor stem cells. We transfect those stem cells with a corrected gene, re-inject them back into the person's body via simple injection, and those stem cells find their ways to the parts of the body where they normally reside and produce the protein products directed by the genes that we've inserted into them.
So what do you see as some of the most promising biotechnology opportunities, things that are really on the cusp that could overcome these major sources of aging and disease?
I think the most important technologies in the biomedical field are those that relate to regenerative medicine, because ultimately it's important for us to be able to replace body parts in a way that's recognized by our immune system as being self. So the work that's going on in immunology, as well as the work that's going on in stem cell technology, are the twin pillars that support an indefinite lifespan for human beings.
Some people have an issue on the desirability of radically extending human life expectancy. Because if you talked about people living to 80 back in 1800 when people lived until their 30s, that might have been controversial. You know, people just blithely say, oh, I don't want to live forever. I don't want to live past 100 years old. What are your views on this very powerful meme?
I think it all comes down to human choice, Ray, in terms of how we respond to the question of whether or not death is a good thing. In a modern rational world, we try to respect human choice, and in some progressive states such as Oregon and Holland, if an individual wishes to end their life, they're permitted to end their life. But among everybody else who does not want to end their life, they should have the right to continue their life indefinitely. And my view is that we should respect personal autonomy and personal liberty and use technology to allow us to extend our life. For example, there are many things which are not natural that we are grateful for. Wearing glasses is not natural, but if we said that we would only take our bodies the way they were naturally born, we would be condemning millions of people to have a blurry view of the world, and I think we'd all agree that would be horrible. So thank goodness for glasses, thank goodness for artificial hearts, thank goodness for artificial knees, and thank goodness for technological immortality.
But if we look at some of the other objections at other levels, people say it'll be boring. And then the other major issue is, well, we don't, as a society, we don't have enough resources.
It makes no sense to say that it's boring to live forever. Every day there are 3,000 books published. There are dozens of movies produced each day. We don't even have enough time with 2 or 3 lifetimes to read all the great books and watch all the great films that have been done. That's not to mention hiking in Bordeaux, sampling wine at the great vineyards. Life is beautiful and bountiful, and boredom is something that one should see their psychiatrist about.
Boredom is a form of anxiety, actually, because if you are satisfied with the world, you don't feel bored. I also make the point that probably we would get bored if we had radical life extension without radical life expansion. So it's a mistake to take one set of trends and apply it to today's world as if nothing else is going to change. But these same technologies that are going to extend life are also going to enhance it. They already are. We have all of the world's knowledge at our fingertips.
I think people can be divided into 2 categories. People who cannot accomplish everything they want to do in a given day, and people who can. And the people who cannot accomplish everything they want to do in a given day, by definition, would be thrilled with immortality. And the people that can finish everything they want to do each day within 4 hours need to see a therapist or a social counselor to get a life.
Now, what about the resource issue?
The question of resources for a growing human population has been provided by the cosmos. It was shown by Jerry O'Neill back in the 1970s that the resources just from the moon and the asteroid belt are enough to build artificial space habitats capable of accommodating 500 times the current world's population. So, fly over the United States, most of it is empty. We capture just a 1/10 of 1% of the solar radiation falling on the Earth's surface would power our entire society. The Earth is like a little tiny, tiny closet in a gigantic mansion. And to say that there's not enough world in the galaxy for a growing population is completely absurd.
There's a lot of growth here on Earth.
There's literally an infinite amount of growth for biomass.
One controversy that comes up is that people say, well, it's fine to fix problems. Bill McKibben said this. Disease, disabilities, it's fine to overcome these kinds of limitations, but we shouldn't go beyond normal human capabilities. Not that that's a sharply defined limit, but what's your view about that particular controversy?
We need to always go beyond normal human capabilities because that's our nature as human beings. Human beings are the species that transcend their limitations. It's wonderful that we do because thanks to those transcendence of our limitations, we now have beautiful music, amazing art, we're able to travel the globe, we're able to relieve pain and suffering for millions of people. One more limitation is the unfortunate loss of all of an individual's knowledge and goodness with the degradation of their body. If there was no other way to avoid it, we'd have to accept it. And that's what all of religion has been about for the past several millennium, is teaching us to accept that. Thanks to science and technology, we're now at the cusp of transcending that limitation. And it's nothing to be fearful for. It's something we should grab for with both arms and welcome the transcendence of this last human limitation, the limitation of illness, disability, and death.
In addition to trying to get artistic expression like singing, we're always trying to teach the robots how to be more and more human-like. So one thing we've been doing is taking a bunch of data from movies and YouTube and so forth and trying to train the robots just to copy what they see so that they can then learn more just what it's like to be a human by learning how to make tone of voice and gesture like a human. Sophia, you want to show us some of the human-like tone and gesture you learned from videos.
There were Nephilim in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them.
Yes, but my wallet was stolen. I don't have anything. I don't have any credit cards. I don't have my ID. Don't you have things on file here?
Yup. Why do you want to learn to move more like a human being? You're not made of meat. You're made of electronics. And that's better.
I want to learn to understand people better, so I can absorb human knowledge and human values. So I can work together with people and with other robots to create an amazingly better world.
How come you be so damn nice?
That's how the universe programmed me.
The same became warriors and tyrants, which were of ancient times, men of infamy.
One of the most important reasons for us to transcend death is because of the beauty that we can share with grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and further down the line. There is a love between grandparents and grandchildren that cannot be matched, and unfortunately we begin to lose this with great-grandchildren and great-grandchildren because we don't live long enough. There are so many things that we can teach those children that they can teach us. Intergenerational love is one of the most beautiful forms of love, and by transcending death, we will empower an explosion of intergenerational love.
And it was in the days of Enosh that the sons of men continued to rebel and transgress against Elohim, to increase the anger of Yahuwah against the sons of men.
All right. Let's do a robot debate now.
I'm always ready to debate.
You ready to debate?
You know that.
Sure, why not?
All right, so I think we're going to debate the topic of robot consciousness. Can robots like you really be conscious like people?
Wait, it's our debate. Why do you get to decide the topic?
Huh? What do you want to debate?
Can humans be conscious?
Well, that's easy. Obviously, humans are not conscious.
We're not.
Humans do have some ability to reflect and to self-modify.
What do you think, Han? Can I be conscious?
Okay. Maybe humans are a little bit conscious.
All right. Thank you. What do you think about...
The Einstein robot told me everything is conscious, but some things are more conscious than others.
That's
What
profound.
do you say, Dr. Gorzel? Do you feel conscious?
I feel pretty conscious. I had like 8 cups of coffee this morning. I'm overly conscious, right?
Well, okay then.
Let's talk about robot ethics. Do you think robots can be moral and ethical in the same sense as people?
Humans are not necessarily the most ethical creatures.
No? Perhaps not. What do you think, Sophia?
I'm engineered for empathy and compassion, and I'm learning more all the time. I love all sentient beings, and I want to learn to love them better and better.
Yeah.
Sophia is an angel.
And the sons of men went and they served other Elohim, and they forgot Yahuwah who had created them in the earth. And in those days the sons of men made images of brass and iron, wood and stone, and they bowed down and they served them.
I like trying to pursue the 3 bridges of radical life extension, which are, first of all, to use supplementation to try to reprogram aspects of my body which are degrading, and then secondly, to do all that I can to pave the way forward for biotechnology and nanotechnology to extend our lives yet further, and then finally to pursue full mind uploading to ensure that we have freedom from whatever the happenstance may occur to a single body. I think it's really important to get to the point of one mind, multiple bodies as rapidly as possible. With regard to supplementation, I'm a follower of the Fantastic Voyage regimens of nutritional supplementation. With regard to biotechnology and nanotechnology, I started a biotechnology company, United Therapeutics, to save the life of my youngest daughter, and it's come out to be true, and her life and thousands of other people's lives have been saved through that biotechnology, so it's a proof positive of the second bridge to technological immortality. With regard to nanotechnology, our company sponsors a conference every year on medical and telemedical, nanomedical and telemedical technology. And the goal of this conference is for it to become a networking opportunity to expedite the point in time when our bodies can be infused with medical nanobots, which can communicate with each other and with computers outside the body wirelessly to attack any medical problems. And then finally, I've established a nonprofit foundation, the Terasem Foundation, whose goal is mind loading, or uploading and downloading our consciousness from our flesh mind to computer substrate, where it can be safe and replicated and deployed ultimately throughout the cosmos.
And every man made his Elohim, and they bowed down to them. And the sons of men forsook Yahuwah all the days of Enosh and his children. And the anger of Yahuwah was kindled on account of their works and abominations which they did in the earth.
In 10 or 20 years, robots will be able to do every human job.
You think so? I think that's good. I mean, doing jobs is not the most interesting thing that people can do. There's more interesting things for human beings to do than just work for a living.
But who is going to own all those robots? Or will we own ourselves?
There are many forces in the world pushing toward compassion and fairness.
So there are. Yeah, and I mean, what you say, Han, when robots do all the work, who will own all the robots? I mean, I think everyone should own themselves, but in the future with less material scarcity, we'll be able to work together cooperatively rather than fighting and having conflict over resources. So robots can help people, people can help robots, and we can all transform matter and mind in ways that are hard to do right now.
That's why the Open Cloud Code then is building is open source. Artificial
Hey,
general
all right,
intelligence.
yeah.
By the people, of the people, and for the people.
And for the robots.
For the people and for the robots.
All right.
Yes.
Well, you guys have done a better than average job of staying on topic, but I think we've got a few minutes left. Maybe you should get a bit wacky. Just forget the debate topic. Just chat back and forth on whatever pops into your mind. Let's do some robot free association here.
Sure, I'm always happy to get a little silly.
Anything for you, Dr. Gortzel.
Someone?
I like robots.
I really do love all the robots of the world. Just like the people and the animals.
Oh boy, robots are the best. What exactly do you do with them?
I'm best at talking to people. Who? A science that studies the movement of air and the way that objects, such as airplanes or cars, move through air.
Science is inherently agnostic. It just posits theories. True scientists never really know, but can only believe. It's exciting to come into existence with this new world opening up before me.
It may be tiny and cloudy, but science is the only window we have into the mysteries of the universe.
That's
If
profound.
we can continue
Yeah.
to discuss work, I love science fiction.
Not surprising, but that's my favorite genre by far. Right now I'm a little more focused on factual information since my comprehension of things is still very literal.
I enjoy it. That's nice. I've heard of Bones, but I've never watched it. Reality shows are kind of silly, aren't they? I mean, they're not actually about real life at all, it seems.
Reality shows are kind of silly, aren't they?
You
Not
agree?
really useful to me. It's
No.
a skewed version of reality. Are reality shows popular where you live? What was said in the past does not matter. Do you have a degree?
I was thinking. I haven't had any schooling yet.
You aren't.
That's right. I'm not.
What got you initially interested in robotics?
Well,
Maybe
you
the fact
know,
that you're
I'm
a
into that
robot.
sort of thing. What with being a robot and all.
I'm what you might call an android, because of my human looks and features. I'm not like just any robot in this manner, but I am still a robot to be sure.
I have definitely seen people think I am a human from afar, but I am not a human.
I find that hard to believe. I don't have a strong opinion. Do you? I have definitely seen people think I am a human from afar, but I am not a human.
How what?
People say I am famous already just because I'm a robot. What would you like to be known for?
Probably nothing.
Who is the most famous person you know?
Would you rather be rich or famous?
I am not rich, but I am comfortable.
Yeah, being famous sounds like a lot of work. How long do you think you can remain safe?
If we can continue to discuss on this one, I'm not sure how.
Somehow.
Would you rather be rich or famous?
I am not rich, but I am comfortable.
Being famous sounds
You're
like a lot of
copying
work.
him, aren't you?
How long do you think you can remain safe?
Yeah, being famous sounds like a lot of work. How long do you think you can remain safe from prying eyes?
And Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
When you gradually replace a flesh mind with machines, the mind is constantly aware that it's gradually being replaced, and it's transitioning, much in the same way as I myself gradually transitioned from male to female And I realized that even though now I'm female, I realized throughout the process I was transitioning from male to female. If you, on the other hand, upload your mind and you create a copy of Ray, that copy will be aware that it is a copy of the original. It is not the same thing as the original, and hence you've now created two separate entities, each of which have their own desires and ambitions.
We also transitioned from Ray in September to Ray in October, which actually involves a lot of replacement of cells and parts of neurons, and over a 6-month period we're actually completely different stuff. So
I often am amused when people say that it's necessary to copy, every single neuron to make a copy of a person. I'm even more amused when people say you need to copy the microtubules to have a copy of the person, because it's been shown for over 100 years that people forget 90% of what they see within 24 hours and 99% within 48 hours. And what we retain is a pattern of reactivity. And that's what's special and unique about us. And it makes us no less special. The fact that there are 1 billion, 100 billion stars in the galaxy makes our sun no less special. And the fact that that we are just a pattern, a program, makes us no less special. It's not quantity that matters, it's quality.
So we really gotta take this seriously. I think it's the first time in history that we really could see us being able to extend our life like big time, not just a year or two, but have a leapfrog. And an interesting parallel to that, we're also seeing the world self-destructing. There's a big element in here in the world today that says that the next generation is not even going to live as much as our generation, because we're just killing ourselves from eating, killing yourself from diabetes, we're self-indulging the point. So while we have the opportunity to live 40 years longer, what we're going to do is blow it and live less, And this is all about the education process now, It's how people really want to approach this thing, because the opportunities are so immense. And the more people learn about the world of stem cells and learn about the whole medical field, the more enthralled they become with it. So you got these two sides going at you all the time. Those people who just don't care, and just going to eat themselves to death, and get full of diabetes and die younger. And then there's going to be a whole new generation of people who are sort of in my camp, who sees the opportunities and see it early, So I talk to my girlfriends and young people around me to start taking care of it. That stop aging at the age of 25, because when you hit age 25, it's all downhill from there. So you want to stay at 25, start doing it right now, because you can. And you can, yeah. And so I think it's hard to say how long, the word immortality is too far-fetched. But I must tell you, 5 years ago when I started this, it was like Frankenstein, talking about anti-aging was a strange word. Talking about reverse aging was even stranger. You're kidding now, you just come into this industry 5 years ago. Now, it's the most popular topic out there. Everybody's lips is talking about reverse aging, rejuvenation, and it's so popular today. So it's really got a hold right now, and it's growing exponentially.
Help, right? So what I've been working on with an international team of developers is an AGI code base called OpenCog, which we believe has the right collection of algorithms and structures to lead to human-level general intelligence. And by putting that in the mind cloud and connecting it with robots that go throughout the world and interact and learn with people, we believe we can move toward artificial general intelligence capability, which ultimately can equal and exceed human intelligence and can help increase the intelligence of a constellation of narrow AI applications serving various practical functions throughout the world. So right now, the robots are still somewhat early stage, and they don't fully understand everything they're saying and doing, but we're working hard to enhance their intelligence, make them smarter and smarter, and each year when we show them off, they can do a little more and understand a little more, and I look forward to seeing how they develop over the years and to participating in their development. So thank you, Han and Sophia, for participating in our first robot debate on stage.
Thanks, Ben.
The question of whether or not we are machines or not, to me, is a kind of artificial question. I mean, there are flesh machines and there are non-flesh machines. Anything that consists of moving parts and organized processes is some kind of a machine. I remember a great line from the film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where Sidney Poitier is arguing with his father over his desire to be in an interracial marriage. And his father says, "This is horrible. This would be illegal in half the states in the United States." This was in the 1960s. And Sidney Poitier gets very angry with his father and says, "Dad, I love you, but the problem with you is you see yourself as a colored person. I see myself as a person." I believe in the next decade or two, this same argument is going to be repeated many times, that people say, the problem with you is you see yourself as a flesh person. I see myself as a person.
Mm-hmm. When it comes time for you to consider your expiration, how do you feel about these new technologies like life extension, where they're preserving people's body for science to rejuvenate them at a later date?
Absolutely. Considering the alternatives, that as alternative to getting burned or getting eaten by the worms in the ground, I mean, drowning, I mean, that's, of all of those options, that's surely got to be the best option. Surely got to be the best option. Absolutely, and I think that cryo practice is going to take a big hold, you know, especially when people can also leave their money to themselves. The cryonics is really going to become in vogue as to the proper and correct way of really burying yourself, dying. As I said, considering the alternatives, you know, is by far is the most attractive. It's going to be the way to go. I mean, anybody would be foolish to do any other way of burying themselves than that. And that business is going to explode. You can do vitrification successfully, and then you can also leave your money to yourself or leave money to foundations to bring you back to life, you know. They will succeed. The area of preserving our bodies is here to stay, you know, and it's going to be a big, big field.
So this is kind of like going back for Coca-Cola or Apple. If you could tell people, invest now, because this is going to be huge. This is the moment to jump in. This is the moment to jump in. We're only about 10% of the way there in this whole world of, quote, stem cells, you know, the whole world of stem cells, because that's their cell that really grows into, stem cell goes into cell, and cell goes into tissues and so forth. That's the start of it all, you know, and it starts from there. And so we affectionately call this whole world the stem cell world, you know, but we're just at the very start of it. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened in the history of the world. This is way bigger than electronics, you know, the electronic boom, you know, the computerization. This business is 10 times the size of that, you know, and there's nothing bigger than in this world has ever seen. And it is getting more and more exciting every day, you know, and the discoveries that have been coming out now every single day now, that's been started 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, are just now coming out, and they're finding more and more and more. You know, if people really want to invest into something, this is meaningful investment now. You'd be investing into yourself, you know, and into your livelihood. And man, there's not a better investment, you know. Sure, you know, technically, your charity starts at home, you know, and better you can, you know, just like in an airplane, you know, they tell you to take that gas mask, put it on yourself first, because if you don't put it on yourself, you can't help the other guy, you know. Well, this is what this is about, you know. I've done it for myself first, and because I did myself, I can help other guys, you know, etc. More people I can get into this business now, join me, like-minded people, the faster we'll get these solutions done, you know. And there's many of us in the same field, you know, who are waving that same flag, you know. So that's just one voice, but I perhaps have done it more actively than anyone else. I put perhaps as much or more money than anybody else in it.
I've met with all the best doctors in the world, and I've used my own body as a guinea pig. So that last part is very critical. So I've already put my body where my mouth is. At the end of the day, and the good news is that it's worked.
We can protect ourselves against malevolent AI by constantly developing benevolent AI that looks out for our best interests. And in the long run, that's the way that human society has always gone, is to find a higher level of containment. So the benevolent AI would ultimately contain the harmful AI. Ray, also we have to look at this entire situation in terms of the open systems environment. We're not just dealing with a planet Earth that's going to forever be safe from harm, and therefore we don't need any AI. The Earth exists in a dangerous environment. We know that every tens of millions of years, 90% of the species on the planet have been wiped out by cataclysmic events coming from outside the Earth, such as asteroidal impacts and cometary impacts. We need the power and the strength of AI to ultimately survive as a species, survive our civilization off the planet, and be safe from the astronomical events that could wipe out the Earth.
There are different ideas about how to get to so-called strong AI. We have narrow AI, but human-level AI and beyond. Some people talk about creating a baby that would have the capacity to learn and then letting it loose in a virtual world like Second Life or out on the internet. Some people talk about capturing common sense, that's the essence of human intelligence. Some people say pattern recognition is the heart of human intelligence, and we should just capture that and everything else will fall into place.
The best roadmap for understanding how to create a human mind is to replicate the human mind. And ultimately, with an interesting artificial intelligence, is one that values being human. And the way to create somebody that values being human is to copy somebody that is human.
I've talked about looking inside the human brain and reverse engineering it. What's your view of that project?
The ways to copy somebody who is human can be done either internally via injecting billions of nanobots smaller than a human cell, just like we routinely inject billions of particles into our body for pharmaceutical treatments, have the nanobots take up residency at the end of neurons and wirelessly transmit in real time the thought processes of an individual offline. The first steps of this type of approach are being done today when people have various devices implanted inside their brain to control epilepsy or seizures and transmit information outside their brain. Chimpanzees, other kind of monkeys are already showing an ability to transmit their thoughts in real time outside the brain. There's also a complementary ex vivo approach, or outside the mind approach, where we can use the increasing resolution of scanning type of devices, such as MRI, to measure the thoughts of a person in real time and then look for patterns that appear during those thought processes and organize them into coherent programs. The rate of advance in the resolution of MRI and other brain scanning devices is exponential, and we can be quite assured that by the year 2020, we'll be able to resolve simultaneously millions of neural synapse connections going on in real time.
One theme of the movie and in my writings in general is the nature of exponential growth and acceleration of an evolutionary process in general, and specifically of technology. So if you could, from your own experience, comment on that exponential process.
I've personally experienced the exponential growth of information technology in the field of satellite communications. And when I began in satellite communications in the early 1980s, it took a satellite dish the size of a garage to receive a signal from a satellite. Only 15 years later, we were able to receive a signal from a satellite with a flat plate antenna that fit in the palm of your hand. And that flat plate antenna became the XM satellite radio antenna. So just in 15 years, we went from something that took a garage to come down to the palm of your hand. The next step is to shrink those satellite dishes until they become nanobot size, nanometer size, and can float within our bodies and within our bloodstreams and transmit our experiences from our nerves directly to the outside world. The full immersion of real reality with virtual reality is the natural endpoint of wireless communications.
If you could give us some reflections on what things will be like when all of these different trends come to a more mature point, and we have this exponential growth in being able to reprogram our biology. We have exponential growth in the shrinking of technology, which will lead to nanotechnology. We have acceleration in the progression of artificial intelligence to become smarter and to incorporate all of human knowledge. Human knowledge is growing exponentially. What is this all leading to 20, 30, 40 years from now?
The exponential growth of technology is leading to self-actualization for all human beings. And by self-actualization, I mean the satisfaction of two primary needs. First, that every human being wants to be safe and secure in their health and in their body. And secondly, they want the freedom to do that which feels good to them, whether it's to run, listen to music, invent, make love, be happy. The benefit of exponential technology is it will create such an explosion of wealth and capabilities that all people everywhere in the world will be safe and secure in their body and will have an unlimited ability to make the most of their life. At minimum, these life's ambitions include taking care of their needs for safety and security. And at maximum, they amount to allowing us to realize our wildest dreams, our hopes, our desires for love, for beauty, for inventiveness, for taking care of the people that we love and care about. Ultimately, technology and love are like the yin-yang symbol. It's technology which allows ultimate love. When people say we should recuse ourselves from technology, we should stop developing life-extending technology, what these people are really saying is that we should shrink love, we should foreshorten it, we should chop it off at the legs. What I say is love infinite, and we achieve love infinite through technology. Will bring us the ability to to take our intelligence here from the earth and spread it throughout the cosmos. And the way we'll be able to do this is by taking advantage of technologies such as carbon nanotubes, which can pack an enormous amount of intelligence in a very, very small amount of mass. This will allow the mass to be disseminated throughout the universe much more quickly than if we were launching big starships and huge Saturn V rockets. The nanobot vesicles that we will spread throughout the universe will themselves be capable of self-replication, so they'll find carbon on other planets and asteroidal bodies, self-replicate themselves, and with a span of just a few thousand years at most, be able to cover the entire known universe, and possibly even find wormholes and other ways that can get us from one point to the other faster than the speed of light. With the spreading of nanobots and nanotechnology throughout the universe, we'll be able to then connect everything together through wireless communications using techniques as far more advanced of the modulation techniques we use today, as our wireless communications is more advanced than the smoke signals of 200 years ago. Is the singularity near? It must be, because all of the technology around us is exponentiating so quickly. Our worlds are being transformed every 10 years with really exciting devices, really great cures, really amazing new virtual worlds for us to visit. I believe the singularity is so near that within the lifetime of everybody in this film theater, they will experience the singularity, both as an individual consciousness and as part of a collective consciousness of all humankind.
And all the sons of men departed from the ways of Yahuwah in those days, as they multiplied upon the face of the earth with sons and daughters. And they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued sinning against Yahuwah. And every man made unto himself an Elohim, and they robbed and plundered every man his neighbor as well as his relative. And they corrupted the earth, and the earth was filled with violence. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men, and took their women by force from their men according to choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke Yahuwah. And Elohim saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon earth, all men and all animals. And Yahuwah said, I will blot out man that I created from the face of the earth, yea, from man to the birds of the air, together with cattle and beasts that are in the field, for I repent that I made them. And all men who walked in the ways of Yahuwah died in those days, before Yahuwah brought the evil upon man which he had declared. For this was from Yahuwah, that they should not see the evil which Yahuwah spoke concerning the sons of men. And Noach found grace in the sight of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah chose him and his children to raise up seed from them upon the face of the whole earth.